What's going on, guys? It is Wednesday. Just figured I'd make a little random tool video since a couple of my friends are doing it. So I figured, what the hell, I'll jump on the bandwagon too. Snap-on came to the mine site that I'm currently at yesterday, and I got on the truck and had to get a couple little knickknacks just because I wanted to. Isn't that one of the best sounds, especially at the end of the day? But Bartle skeet, not brewski. So Snap-on came yesterday. Got a couple little tools. Part number FZ1. It's this 90-degree extension connector. I got another one on order to have two, because doubling up on them is handy. I also got these. He only had the bent. He didn't have any of the straights. Believe I got one of those on order. I've already got another set. These are just going home. So those are going back home with me. These are going on my truck. Flat blade with a magnet on the end. I've got the non-magnet one at home. And the Phillips. Worst case, comment. I'll put part numbers down. You can see them right there. And this is that one. The straight is PBM S5, not PBM B5. B is obviously bent. But yeah, I figured I'd go over probably one of my most used on the day-to-day tools. Small tools. I mean, it's stuff you can use in the auto world, stuff you use in the mining industry. You can use it in a multitude of areas. The pocket pry bar. First off, there's two other sets that I don't have that I'm probably going to order just because pocket pry bars seem to be one of my little addiction tools, I guess you'd call them. The Wild kit is part number 35170. And then there's the Mayhew set, which is part number 31092. The Mayhews look like they're a bit longer. I've also heard that they don't have the little deals to hook on your pocket, which I don't know how I feel about. That's usually the biggest part that breaks for the good ones. Keep that in mind. That's usually the part I break. So they've been around for a while. I mean, a lot of us had these and were using them as pry bars, and it clearly states, warning, not a pry bar, chisel, or punch. You know we don't follow those rules. For a long time, got by. They worked. They broke. They bent. And then, I don't know, I think Mac was the first to come out with a legit pocket pry bar, and then Amazon had their off brands, which is these little guys. You can buy them for like $10, $20 for a bulk pack and not care because they're cheap. Bend them. Gotta say, I didn't break it, but I bent the hell out of this thing. So in that regard, this one, get them on like JD Tool, get on Amazon too. There's Gato Tools, I think, does them. They're pretty much all the same knockoff pocket pry bar. Cheap. Who cares if they break? Throw them away, get another one for like a couple bucks. Not a big deal. They're very similar in size to that. A little bit more giving in how they'll bend and hold up and all that, but yeah, left a lot to be desired in my opinion. I had bought the Mac ones before I'd bought those, so I was already kind of had my high hopes for this pocket pry bar game that came out to be a kind of a big hit. So the Mac, there's a bent and a straight, and they use a square shank. These are also similar sized. Can do this. similar sizes as far as the drive goes. So that's what I loved about the Mac ones. Great for getting into small screws, stuff on carbs, adjustments, hose clamps, all sorts of stuff. And I never broke one. I broke the clip. And obviously warranted, not a big deal. They only came out in red at first, and then they started coming out with a couple other colors. I think green. I want to say they did orange, maybe. I don't remember what colors they did. I've got green and I've got red. And then ended up going on the old Matco truck. Big mistake. I had high hopes. I really had high hopes because I had seen other people doing reviews on them, and so I jumped on the bandwagon and got a set. They're a bigger shank than the Mac, and they're a round shank at that, so they are a lot thicker. Bought the back of them, and I've got to say, this cheap pile is 10 times better than any of these three. I've got to say. Lost one. I had them in green originally, and then I got the orange. These ones I only used for a couple months, and I've got to say, them supposedly being a pocket pry bar. If that'll focus or not. You can kind of see the tip of it's broke, which I had another friend of mine, mentor tech, that snapped off a good portion of his, doing one of these numbers on a hose clamp. So that was pretty, that was a big letdown. It's like, come on, my Mac ones didn't even do that. The other thing about these things, you can use this as, your standard screwdriver. And this seems to be the popular tool everybody's Googling about, which, awesome tool. Not a whole lot of pressure on here, right? There's no splines on these shanks. I literally was able to break this one free in a couple hours of use. And then this is their more bent one. They've got two bent. Come on, Matco. Like, I don't know who's making them for you, but what a pile of trash. And that's being extremely polite. Left a lot to be desired after dealing with that. The guys at work I worked with at the time, they all jumped on, bought the packs as well. This one also spins. However, I tried a Loctite trick, put some red Loctite on the shank, put some in the hole, shoved it back in there. And it's better, but it is not Mac, and it's not Snap-on, and it's not this. This one, I even put those pliers on, and I tried to spin that handle, and it didn't spin. So, Matco's left a lot to be desired. So I think what I'm going to end up doing on this is I'm going to try and heat up the end and hammer it down more like a kind of how the Snap-on screwdrivers, they've got two little slots. It's probably not going to focus, but you can kind of see the little slot. There's a slotted deal on the shanks that basically get keyed into the handle so they don't spin like these piles do. So I'm going to try and mimic that with the Macos, and I don't give two about the warranty on these things because I'm not going on the Matco truck. There's not a whole lot of Matco that I care to buy. Just not a fan. There's better tools for the money you're going to spend on them, so why waste your time and money on the Matco truck? So that's my spiel on those. Now let's get to the Snap-ons. I've got the black ones. These are what I use on the day-to-day. If it's not those ones, it's the Mac ones. I've loved these because, again, they're a square shank. The Lyle ones mimic these. The Lyle, I believe, has two different shank sizes though. So the straight one's a smaller shank, the curved one's a thicker shank, and the straight one's got the magnet on there, kind of like how the Snap-on one does, the Snap-on screwdriver. So get those. Amazon's got them. They're like 15 or 20 bucks. Mayhews, like I said, I think the Mayhews are longer, but they've got a straight and a curved, and I don't believe there's the clips on there, so be good for doing like interior work, taking panels apart on a car, so on and so forth. But the Snap-on ones, right? So these, I believe, looking at the impression on the handle, are splined. And I gotta say, I use the hell out of these things. So if you don't have a set, strongly recommend you get a set. Like I said, I gave you the part numbers for these earlier. The Max, my part numbers are kind of faded away. The straight is PN2B, and then whatever color, these are G's for green. The curved is PN2CG. So pretty easy to figure your part numbers out. Give it your reps. If you don't have a set, get a set, because you'll use them all. Or maybe you won't. Whatever the case, you got them when you need them. They're handy as hell. And yeah. And then these bad boys. These seem to be the craze right now. So there's two versions of them. There's a longer and a shorter. These are the longers at LN47 ACF. I want to say the smallers are LN46 ACFs. They're all over, I'm sure, TikTok. A lot of guys on Instagram doing the old nickel trick, picking them up on the edges. Yeah. I bought them just because I wanted them, and I've only used them a handful of times. No pun intended there. But, you know, Snap-on. You're not going to go wrong with Snap-on. There's not a lot of hand tools you're going to go wrong with Snap-on. Yeah. Hope this saves some people some money, because don't waste your money on the Matco ones unless you like just throwing money out the door and dealing with warranty and having a subpar tool. The shanks, I gotta say, are, I mean, decent, minus the fact that they spin. If I can get that figured out, which I think, like I said, I'm gonna try and do a flat trick on them. But yeah, that being just used as a pry bar versus the Snap-on being just used as the pry bar. And I've abused these severely. Like, I don't know how I haven't bent them really bad or broke them, but I haven't. And significantly more use time on these than the Matco ones. And like I said, I've even done the hose clamp thing where I'm kicking it to the side, getting that little bit of extra on there, and those didn't snap. I snapped one of these, my green, and so did my buddy. The one I snapped, I just literally threw it out because, yeah, that's about as much as they're worth. So, like I said, hope this little tool tip saves you some headache, or maybe you like headaches. But either way, you've got my view on the tools. Snap-on, Mac, Mayhew, or Lyle. Those other two brands that I don't have, gonna get them. But the fact that they're, I believe, both square shank, you're not gonna go wrong with them. Mayhew's obviously known for making a lot of pry bars, big pry bars. The Dominators, and you know, that's, I want to say, who made the pry bars for Mac with the striking ends on them. Snap-on, I don't know if they make theirs or not, but the Snap-on is a bigger shank, whatever the case. Still good pry bars. You know, you can't go wrong. But yeah, and then obviously Lyle, they make a huge array of tools, so really can't go wrong with that tool that I gave you. So anyway, hope y'all have a good one. See ya.